Hey, have you ever thought about starting your own podcast? When CJ and I were trying to get this podcast off the ground, I had a lot of questions. How do I record an episode? How do I get my show into all the apps that people like to listen to? How do I make money from my podcast? The answer to every one of these questions is really simple. Anchor. Anchor is a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing your podcast. Best of all, it's 100% free and ridiculously easy to use too. And now Anchor can match you with great sponsors who want to advertise on your podcast. That means you can get paid to podcast right away. In fact, that's what I'm doing right now by reading this ad. We use Anchor because we live over an hour away and it brings us together as if we're in the same room. The sound quality is better than Skype and more reliable too. So if you've always wanted to start a podcast and make money doing so, go to anchor.fm/start. That's anchor.fm/start to join us and the diverse community of podcasters already using Anchor. That's anchor.fm/start. We can't wait to hear your podcast.
We will not be held responsible for any hearing impairments or damage caused to you from excessive exposure to this sound.
Hey CJ, remember that one time?
Oh yeah, it was fucking epic.
You're listening to
Remember That One Time,
the Inappropriate Storytime Podcast
with CJ
and Chris.
and these are not your mama's fairy tales.
That's right. You are listening to Remember That One Time, the Inappropriate Storytime Podcast with your hosts, Chris
And CJ.
and this episode, we pick up where we left off. This episode is Remember That One Time We Forgot to Podcast for Over a Year. Dropped the ball a little bit. Sorry about that. The first 3 episodes were going good. We had all kinds of crazy happen in between there. And that's what this episode is about, is kind of a recap over the last year. This the most recent episode that we had put out, episode 4, the online dating, that was just kind of a one-off, something we had to get off of our chest, out of our chest, out of our cooches, everything.
Yeah.
And we got that taken care of. So we are now back on the roll. Hopefully we should be putting these out every 2 weeks or so. That's kind of the goal. But then again, that was the goal last time too. So welcome to...
We'll see how that goes.
Exactly. Welcome to episode 5. We forgot to podcast for over a year. So that's what you're going to hear about. CJ had some interesting things that she had planned that came to fruition. I had the same thing happen that was completely unplanned. These are not pregnancies, by the way.
Oh God, no.
And we've got a buddy from high school. Let's shout out to 5-Star Show over at the5starshow.com that he runs a sports podcast, WWE, sprinkles a little bit of humor in there, a little bit of something. So we want to give him a big old shout out. He did the same for us. I mean, rub my back, I'll rub yours. And that's as far as we're getting because
Yeah.
So
Let's not go any further than that.
exactly. So a big shout out there. And this is just kind of a little bit of foreshadowing because boy, do we have a story that we completely forgot about. We're going to tell our side of the story that he told on his podcast. So get ready for sipping some tea and throwing some shade.
Yeah.
Would you
I
like-
don't know how we forgot about that one. Honestly, that was...
I
we really
know.
dropped the ball. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
It was the creme de la creme.
Yeah. We fucked up.
Exactly. So, CJ, go ahead and get us started. What the hell have you been doing for a year?
So I promise I have not been just sitting on my ass for a year while we have not been podcasting. I was a little busy getting married and selling a house and building a house.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, so if you ever get the chance to do any of those, don't do it because it's so much work. So we're selling a piece of crap house that was basically a lemon and just ran into problem after problem after problem. And so that was interesting. So it was like every time Chris was calling me up like, hey, can we podcast? I was like having a breakdown like, oh my God, I'm never going to sell my house. I'm never going to be able to pay for my wedding and I'm going to have to live in a box. It was just one disaster after another. So I probably would have been a real drag if I had been podcasting during that time because I would have just been like, fuck my life. I just want to die. But anyways, we did sell the house. We finally got into our new house, like, by the skin of our teeth, like 7 days before we got married. Somehow managed to get completely moved in, everything set up, pictures hung, decorations, and everything ready in 3 days because I hosted my own shower here at the new house a few days before the wedding, and it actually wasn't a typical bridal shower where you buy toasters and towels and shit.
No, fuck
It
that.
was, no, that's for pussies. No, we did a stock the bar shower. So we basically told all of our friends and family, like, hey, we are going to have the most epic bar that you've ever seen at a wedding. And I want everybody there to be able to just walk up to the bartender and tell them some crazy off-the-wall drink, and he has all of the shit that you need to make that drink, whether it's, something as simple as Jack and Coke or some weird-ass shit like sex with an alligator, which that's an actual drink. You should look it up. It's fabulous.
Nice.
Anyways, so yeah, everything worked out, and it was great. So the wedding was pretty lit. It was awesome.
Stunning.
Yeah, we actually did, like, we got so much stuff at that stock the bar shower that, like, I still have a completely stocked liquor cabinet. Like, there is no running out of liquor in this house anytime soon. Like,
Ooh. Breaking
what?
news.
What?
I have to let you know, this is history. Okay, sit down.
Okay.
Take a
I'm
deep
sitting
breath. Okay, we were just approved for iTunes.
right now.
Right now.
Right this very second.
In the middle of our podcast. It just came
Get
through in my email.
out.
Not
Hell
even kidding.
yeah, bitches! We're on iTunes.
Yes. You can
Hell
expect
yeah.
to see Remember That One Time on the iTunes store within the next few hours. Boom.
Yes.
So, okay.
Boom.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was excited.
That's
I just
okay.
came.
That is exciting news. That's
Exactly.
That's great. That's awesome.
Okay, sorry. Well, you were like getting married or something. I don't know.
We're not going to run out of liquor here anytime soon. If I have to go to the liquor store again within the next year, there's something truly wrong with us. So, anyways, let's see, where do I even start? I guess I'll start with, like, the rehearsal the night before. Like, I just basically wanted to outdo anybody that's ever gotten married ever. Like, if you know me, you know that I want to do everything bigger and better than you did.
Oh, God, so extra.
So extra. I want everybody to know that I did it bigger and better than you. And 10 years from now, I want everybody to still be talking about how awesome it was. So anyways, we had the rehearsal, and I was like, this is going to be epic. I want to go out dancing after rehearsal and, kind of make it a game. Like, see how much of the wedding party can I get back to the venue in time for the wedding. Like, kind of like the Hangover type thing.
Yep.
Like, we already had the bachelorette party. It wasn't a bachelorette party per se. We all went out. But it kind of ended up like that because it was getting dangerously close to the wedding, and there were 2 people that were still MIA. So it was kind of like that. So anyway, so we go out, and the guys, they were, so Chris is my husband, Chris. He's more of a stay-at-home type of dude. And so he was not about to go out. So they just stayed at the venue. We had rented out, like, an entire farm. And so there was, like, all these different, like, we had an apartment and a guest house and a cabin and a farmhouse. And so him and all the guys went up to the cabin, and they just, like, played poker and drank all night. And so, that's cool. But, I think we had a better time, honestly. But anyways, so me and a bunch of my friends went out dancing. And so we're having a really good time. And, I had a few, I had a few drinks. I had several. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, let's be realistic. I want to have fun and everything, but I know that I have to get up semi-early, and I have to, have somebody come in and do all of my makeup and everything. And I'm like, okay, it's gonna take a lot to cover some dark circles if I end up staying out till 5 a.m. So I was like, before I even started drinking, I was like, okay, I'm making a promise to myself that I'm gonna be walking out of this place by midnight. And whether anybody comes with me, that's their business. If they feel like they can, function on 1 hour of sleep, that's fine, but I can't. I need like 4. Anyways, so it comes time for us to leave, and me and one of my bridesmaids were like, okay, yeah, we're going to leave. It's midnight, we need to get back. And she was really drunk. She really wanted to go back because at the venue there was like a shit ton of leftover lasagna from rehearsal, and she wanted it bad. And so we left, and there was 2 of my other bridesmaids that decided to stay. And I was like, okay, that's cool. I'll see you back at the venue. And me and all the girls were staying in the apartment. So me and the one that left, we got back and we raided the fridge and we ate a shit ton of lasagna. And
so much.
Spilled food everywhere, and it was awesome. So we went back up to the apartment and got ready for bed, and I'm laying there. And we've probably been back to the venue for like an hour, so it's like almost 2, and I'm laying there trying to sleep, and I'm just like kind of, it's just going through my mind. I'm like, oh my God, I left them there. What if they don't make it back? Like, if I am down 2 bridesmaids and my wedding gets ruined, I will kill everyone. And I just started like playing out all these scenarios, like, oh my God, what if they got kidnapped, or what if they got lost, or what if this, what if that? And I'm texting them, and they're not responding. And I'm like, you stupid bitches, I'm getting married in the morning. You should answer me. I'm the bride.
Yeah, because if they did end up getting kidnapped or murdered or whatever, you're not going to deal with it until like after your honeymoon, because LOL, this is your shit.
Yeah. So finally I got a text back from one of them, and I immediately knew something was terribly wrong because the text message was spelled, there was no spelling errors at all. All of the punctuation was correct, and it was alarming because, nobody that drinks a lot spells anything correctly after a certain point. And so I was like, oh my God, there's something terribly wrong, because her text read, sorry, I can't talk right now, period. And I'm like, that's not something you tell a bride 7 hours before her wedding. You just don't. You drop whatever you're doing and you talk to her, because whatever it is she's got to say is hella important. And so I was flipping my shit, and then she sends me a picture, and it's a picture of half of the floor of the bathroom at the bar and half of the garbage can. And inside the garbage can, I can see there's barf. And I'm like, oh, great. Fuck my life. And so finally the other one texts me, and she's like, I found her. It's okay. We're on our way back. So an hour and a half later, these 2 come stumbling in. She's practically dragging the other one up the steps and into bed. And she just passes out in a chair. I don't think she even made it to an actual bed. She's passed out in a chair. She slept for like an hour and woke up, and freaking, it was like nothing bad had happened to her makeup or her hair. She looked fucking perfect. She woke up before any of us went downstairs into the farmhouse and made us all fucking breakfast. And she comes up these stairs as the rest of us are dragging ass out of bed at 7:30 in the morning. And she's bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with a cup of coffee. And she's like, morning, everybody. And I'm like, the fuck is wrong with you?
She's not human.
You were literally like dying on a bathroom floor like 3 hours ago, and now you look like a fucking Stepford wife. Like, I was blown away. Anyways, so we had the wedding, and it was awesome. And so Chris, we agonized over the guest list, because I went a little bit overboard, maybe. And I invited 367 people to this wedding. And Chris thought that was a little excessive.
A little.
And I was like, I just want everybody to feel included. And
no, you want everybody to look at you.
And so we went over and over and over the guest list and everything. And if you've listened to the 5-Star Show, his last podcast where he shouted out to us, he was a little upset that we didn't invite him to the wedding. And I think
gonna
truly,
hate.
Yeah, I know, right? I think truly the reason that that Chris didn't want to invite him to the wedding was Chris wanted to make sure that he was the drunkest person there. And I just think that if Wesley had been invited to the wedding, I don't know if that would have happened, because I feel like Wesley might have been the most drunk guy there. But yeah, so without Wesley there, Chris.
He took the cake.
He took the cake for sure. I finally actually just got my pictures back probably 2 weeks ago, and there is a picture, and I have no idea where I was when this happened because I have no memory of it whatsoever. But there's a picture of him laying down face first in the dance floor, like he has just fallen. He's face planted in the dance floor, and one of my bridesmaids is like straddling him. I don't really know what's happening in the picture, but it looks funny.
It's pure gold.
And I'm really sad that I missed it, because whatever happened, it looked like they were having a great time.
Yes.
And I don't know where I was. But yeah, apparently like he went around back of the venue and barfed in the parking lot, and then he barfed in the bathroom. And I don't know if these two have anything to do with each other, but I later found out that the bathroom was flooded. The toilets, one of the toilets got clogged and they overflowed. I don't know if that had anything to do with Chris barfing profusely into it or what, but
it's possible.
So that happened. And also found out after the fact that my preacher got lucky at the wedding, and I won't say who, but yeah, preacher got lucky with one of the girls at the wedding. So it was great. I feel like if your preacher gets laid at your wedding, you're probably doing something right.
Oh yeah, she got real religious that night. Oh God, oh God, oh
She
God.
did. Yeah. So yeah, it was something.
Yeah, but leading up to the wedding of the century was the bachelorette party of the century.
That is true. That is true. So we rented an Airbnb in Nashville, and we had just this whole weekend of just bar hopping and craziness. We did a couple of brewery tours. It was a great time. We went to Maggiano's and we ate dinner like super fancy people.
Yeah, fun was had
awesome.
by all.
Yeah, so this place that we rented, it was like in one of those little up and coming neighborhoods in East Nashville. I guess apparently they call it East Nasty.
Oh, God.
I mean, I don't know why you would call something nasty, and it's like,
Well, have you been to
alluring.
Nashville?
Well, yeah, but I mean, it's supposed to be like, the up and coming place. It's awesome, but why do you call it East Nasty? I don't know. Anyways,
hipsters.
I don't claim to know how their minds work. So it's this cute little house, and I mean, it's an older house, but it's been redone. And I just have this thing, like, whenever I get an Airbnb, I always like looking at the little guest books and reading the stuff. And so I think it was the first night we were there. We had, and this was after we accidentally asked a 16-year-old boy to strip for us.
Oh, God, he was so scared.
Yeah.
He literally dropped the pizza and ran.
Side note, we ordered pizza, and we decided that we were going to, when we answered the door to get the pizza, we were going to pretend like we were expecting a stripper and be like, oh my God, it's a stripper dressed like a pizza delivery boy. That's amazing. And so, like, we opened the door and we, like, went right into that whole plan, not realizing that, like, this kid's, like, 16. This is probably, like, his first night on the job.
Harassment.
Yeah. And, like, he was probably, like, already pretty scared because we had, like, inflatable dicks taped to the door. There was just, like, dicks everywhere. There was a pin the dick on the Bachelor like up on the wall. There was just penis everywhere.
Oh,
where banner.
The poster that you had to try to, like, use the pink lipstick to put kisses on the dick.
Yeah, just dicks everywhere. And he was probably like, oh my God. He was like, and you could tell, like, he was really, really scared. But
he probably thought, like, we were going to harvest his dick.
He probably did. He was like, they're going to string me up on this banner. But I bet he went back and told all of his friends, like, oh, yeah, man, I opened the door to deliver this pizza, and all these hot chicks were all over me, and they were all sucking my dick. It was great. I bet that's exactly what he went back and told his friends.
You know he did.
In real life, he was terrified. He couldn't get out of there fast enough. He actually tripped on an inflatable dick on his way out the door.
Yeah, after he just gently laid the pizza down on the floor, trip, and walk away.
So, anyways, after that, we had all been drinking and playing Pin the Dick on The Bachelor and all that, Kiss the Dick and all that. And we were pretty drunk, and we were reading through the guest book, and I read this one where somebody said something about Carl and like the man in the basement. And I had already
Dun,
been
dun,
down to the
dun.
basement once, and it was pretty fucking creepy. It was really dark and musty, and just, I don't know, it was creepy. And so I kept reading, and I kept seeing more and more of these people talking about Carl, and like how it's creepy that Carl is under the bed, and why don't you let Carl come up out of the basement and all this shit. And then we just started hearing stuff. We just flipped our shit. And long story short, there was about half of us that were really truly frightened for our lives, and the other half were like, you guys are so fucking stupid, shut up and go to bed. And it was just, I don't know, I feel like we encountered something supernatural that night. It was scary.
Yeah, when you're just a little bit freaked out and you start like, oh, I think I saw something in the dark, and then from then on you start hearing little things that totally have an explanation, but that doesn't matter because it's already in your head that you're about to die, and everything just compounds and gets worse and worse. Well, add 3 more people to that mix, and then they're freaking each other out, and suddenly we have all of the lights turned on. We've got people huddled together in one bed, just crying, screaming, freaking out.
Yeah, it was something. It was something, that's for sure. And don't forget, tell them about your last minute wedding escapade thing.
My escapade. So what did I do last year?
Yeah. Why were you so busy?
Right. First thing I did was totaled my Honda Accord in Atlanta, which I do not suggest doing ever, because the base charge on your ticket for following too closely is $427.50.
Exactly.
I do, and because it's $400 base and then $27.50 for the administrative fees, like they're not getting paid enough.
Right.
So don't do that. Totaling your car, just don't do that anyway, but definitely don't do it in Atlanta. It's insane. So I went and totaled my car, and I found out probably 3 or 4 days after I totaled my car that I had won a wedding. Now, mind you, I was not engaged. This was not planned whatsoever. I think CJ, my boyfriend at the time, my little sister, and my now mother-in-law, all 4 sent me a link to this giveaway with Six Flags over St. Louis because it was Friday the 13th. So it was October Friday the 13th. So anytime that rolls around, they do what is called a Hallow Wedding. And so you could enter to win a wedding at Six Flags. So everybody sent it to me, and they were like, oh, you guys should do this. This would be totally cool. Because Ethan, my husband, is obsessed with theme parks. For example, we just renewed our second year of Six Flags season passes, and we're heading there next weekend, I believe, the 21st. I'm almost roller coastered out, but don't tell him that. So yeah, I put in for it. I was like, my boyfriend absolutely loves theme parks. This would be so cool. Our first date was at a haunted house.
You had to write an essay.
Not really an essay. It was probably about, I'd say it was closer to 5 to 10 sentences. It was just kind of a, hey, this would be cool type of thing. It wasn't like, please, I beg of you, my life will never be the same without this. I'm going to kill myself, please.
But I mean, you did have a pretty cool story as to what, like they asked, why should we give this to you? And you actually had a legit reason other than like, hey, I really want it.
Yeah, I mean, I must have, because I got the email 2 or 3 days after I totaled my car. And it's in St. Louis. So that's about 5-6 hours away from here. And I'm like, well, I don't have a car. I have to buy a car, plan a wedding, like buy a dress, buy his stuff, plan hotel and accommodations for my guests, all of 6 people, I believe. All of this within 17 days. I had to buy a new car, like shop for one, get approved, bring it home, ready to drive to St. Louis in 17 days. I don't recommend that. I was stressed beyond belief. I wanted to kill my husband for at least 16 out of those 17 days. It was ridiculously stressful. Of course, it was the best day of my life. I'm going to get teary thinking about it. Don't make me cry.
God.
No, I'm joking. I took my pill. I'm good. But yeah, it was magical and beautiful, and we got married with 12 other couples on the steps of the Palace Theater at the theme park. And then after that, we all rode our first roller coaster as a married couple. I think it was the Boomerang, and it was really cool. I remember specifically CJ grabbing my hand and throwing it up in the air, a la Thelma and Louise, while on the coaster yelling, "My best friend just got married!" So that was cool.
Oh, and don't forget the most important part. It was on TV.
Oh,
There
yeah.
were camera crews everywhere.
Yeah, everywhere. And what's actually funny, maybe about a week ago, me and Ethan were feeling nostalgic, so we pulled up YouTube, and my wedding and my vows and walking to the thing, it's all on YouTube on like ABC channel.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so
And if you listen really, really close, you can hear me in the background screaming, "Get her done!"
very likely, yes, if you listen really, really close. And that night, we went back to the hotel room and everything, and he proved that he was going to love and protect me because it was about 4 o'clock in the morning. And mind you, we're in St. Louis, and we've never been in such an urban area before. So, I mean, we felt safe. I mean, there wasn't any reason to not feel safe. But late into the night, early morning, we hear this loud bang right outside our door. So Ethan jumps up, he tells me, "Get on the floor, get under the bed, hide." And he grabs his gun and he starts like peeking out of the window, and he's ready to fill somebody with lead. Like he is ready. He's been waiting for this his whole life. So he's like looking around, and he like dramatically whips the door open and like yells, "Freeze, motherfucker." And if you look down, we couldn't see anything, but he looked down, and my mother had put some sort of like just married thing on the door of the hotel room for decorations, and the tape had gotten loose and it fell down. That's all it was. But he was ready to murder for my safety. So #true love.
I mean, if that doesn't warm your heart, I don't know what will.
I know, and I was like, this is kind of the hottest thing ever. So, yeah, we consummated, and here you have it. So, that was my completely random, ended up getting married and had no clue I was going to.
And
Yeah.
I feel there's something else that happened. Oh, tell them about the Goody Goody Diner.
Oh, yeah.
Too.
We went...
And Sly. Sylvester
That's
or
his
whatever
name.
his
Yeah, it
name
was
is.
Sly. We went for our, instead of like a bridal shower or anything, we had brunch the day of. Actually, the morning of, I had to go to St. Louis courthouse to get our marriage license because you had to get it in the city where you get married. So I had to fight downtown St. Louis, which was a disaster. But then when we got done with that, we met up with, was it just you and Chris?
Yeah, it was
I think
just the
so.
4 of us.
Yeah, it was just the 4 of us, and we went to brunch, and we were looking, and we're like, I can't find anything at 10 o'clock in the morning that looks good, that's open, that I want to eat. And finally, we're looking through like the pamphlets in the hotel, and Chris sees one, and he's like, "That's it. We're in St. Louis. I'm going to go get me some chicken and waffles for brunch." So we found this place called Goody Goodies, and we went and had brunch in Ferguson, Missouri. We were a little outside of the demographic that was primarily there. But at first we were like, oh, we've heard about this place on the news. There's like civil unrest. Are we going to get like, is this going to cause problems? We were a little worried. But when we got there, it was the coolest fucking place we've ever been in. This guy named Sly, you walked in and he only spoke in like rhymes and raps. That's it. And so he got our information, sat us down. We had the best brunch. I don't remember what I had, but I remember that somebody challenged Chris and he ate like 5 different meals and they were like, "Oh, you can't finish this." And he's like, "Fucking watch me."
Yeah, he's like, bet.
Exactly. So we had to basically roll him back to the car.
And he is so cheap that like he eats all 5 of the meals and the waiter is like genuinely impressed with him. And Chris is like, "So does that mean I don't have to pay?"
Right? I must have
they're
beat some
like-
sort of record, right?
They're like, "Bitch, please, you paying."
Exactly. But then as we were leaving, we had told him that, we were going to get married that night. And he like stopped the whole restaurant and did like a blessing over the wedding with like a wedding day rap. And I wish we had the forethought to have recorded it on our cell phone.
know. Why
Because
didn't we?
that was one of the coolest parts about everything. I miss and love Sly. And gonna go ahead and do a shout out. If you're in the St. Louis area listening, head on over to Ferguson. Tell Sly I sent you. Go get you some chicken and waffles. It's the
Yes.
bomb.
Go to Goody Goody Diner.
Go to
And
Goody Goody.
The only thing I remember from his little wedding day blessing rap was he kept saying, "Congratulations on your elevation."
Yes. That's amazing. Because we
Okay.
were elevated, I guess.
I guess
I don't know.
you're being elevated from Miss to Mrs., I guess. I don't know.
Within 17 days, being elevated to girlfriend to Mrs.
Yeah, that was like the fastest engagement ever.
Yeah. And speaking of engagement, he already had my ring because he was planning on proposing on Halloween because our first date was at a haunted house. So he had actually already contacted the haunted house that we go back to every year. And they were going to, help him some way or another propose there at the haunted house. And I had no idea. He'd already sent them an email. They were in on it. And then this happened. So he was like, well, shit. That's kind of ruined that. So like he really, really kind of panicked because he knew I had to have the ring as soon as possible because we were just about to get married. And so we were sitting on the couch. We had gone to Burger King earlier. He slipped this ring into the Burger King bag. And he was like, I wonder if they threw me some extra onion rings. And so he's like, can you check the bag for me? And so I pull out the box with the ring in it. And he's like, that's not an onion ring. I know.
Oh my gosh.
Definitely memorable. Not what he planned, but it was still sweet. So
That sounds exactly like him.
it does sound like him. It was perfectly him. Everything about the engagement, wedding, everything was completely perfect for him. But
Well, you guys could always like renew your vows at the
5-year
haunted
mark.
house. There you go.
Yeah, I think we're going to at the 5-year mark. It's not going to be a replacement of that wedding. It'll just be a renewal because nothing
Yeah.
can take the place of that badassness.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. You had a fucking popcorn machine at your reception.
Well, yeah. Each of us got our own cake. I do still have a piece of the cake in the freezer. I'm going to have to bust that out later next month. We had a professional photographer that we didn't have to pay for, so that was cool. Like I said, it was national news coverage. I did smuggle CJ into the park in the back of my Charger because I didn't have anywhere else for her to go.
Oh my god, I thought I was gonna die.
Yeah, she was going to die of heat stroke. Like, they were counting all the people in my car to, like, get a head count. And we were like, here, here, here. And then they called her name, and she just, like, went on the top of the trunk. And she's like, yeah.
They were like,
Is she
was
okay? Blink 3 times if we need to call the police. Yeah, good shit, good shit. Speaking of this shout out to Goody Goodies, let's again give a shout out over to a 5-Star Show. This guy, he can talk about sports and titties all day, every day. So if that's something you're into, check that shit out right now. He has got so much sports, so much WWE, so many titties. I mean, he himself does not have many titties. That would be something to see, and I'd be charging for that shit, honestly. So yeah.
yeah, so speaking of him, like I said earlier, I can't believe that we forgot about this when we were last episode when we were talking about online dating and everything.
Yeah.
I can't believe that we just completely blanked on this one because, I mean,
well, there were
so good.
so many.
I did think of a couple other random ones that we left out, but I don't think they were as funny as the ones that we talked about.
Right.
So anyways, this happened during my third stint on POF. If you've listened to the last one, you'll know that I had 3 different stints on POF, and this was stint number 3. This was right around the time we were doing the whole Dinner for Schmucks thing. And, I mean, I think he was actually the inspiration for the whole Dinner for Schmucks challenge.
It's possible.
So me and Chris were just sitting around our apartment. I think it was like a Tuesday night or something. We were probably doing our normal thing, just like eating cake batter right out of the bowl and drinking Herber Mist out of the bottle and just generally wondering how the hell we're even allowed to be together unsupervised. So we've got POF pulled up on my laptop, just on there, basically like talking shit about people, making fun of people, being an internet bully like I talked about last time.
Zanga.
So I get this instant message and this tiny little picture pops up and it looks kind of familiar and I'm like, I know this dude from somewhere. And the username is like 5-star show boy 420 or some shit, and boy is spelled like B-O-I-I-I-I.
Boy.
So boy 5-star show boy 420, of course. Like it should have been like 420-69. Like that would have covered like all of the cliches.
All the bases, yeah.
Yeah, all the bases. So I clicked on his profile and the picture blows up and it's like this strung out, scrawny looking motherfucker. He's standing in like the breezeway of this super ghetto looking apartment complex and he's fucking completely nude, butt ass naked. The only thing covering his junk is this stupid fucking WWE belt.
Wow,
like,
hot.
Yeah, I know. I was like, what the fuck? And I mean, if he didn't look like he just snorted coke off a hooker's ass, and if he was like ripped, maybe it would have made up for the fact that in the background of this picture was another apartment, and the door was open. And I mean, I had to zoom in really far to see this, but there's this chick inside this apartment. She's got one tit hanging out, and she's beating her man with a fly swatter.
Classy.
Like, only on POF can you find something like that in a profile picture. Like, do you even really need to fill out your profile if that's your profile picture? I mean, I feel like it speaks for itself. Like, you can probably look at this and kind of get the gist of what you're about to get into.
Oh, yeah.
So anyways, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, holy hell, this is Wesley from elementary school. So, like, 9-year-old me is like, hell yeah. Because you might remember a few episodes ago where we talked about him in the middle school episode. He gave the last 10 seconds of a dance at 6th grade homecoming to Chris and like made her entire life. And if I'm being real, I was kind of low-key jealous, but it's whatever. But I mean, mature 25-year-old me is like, the fuck is this? Oh, and I'm back to his instant message. It was so deep. He simply said A, like A-Y-E, A. I'm like, are you for real? So I decide I'm going to fuck with him, and not in a good way. So I just pretended like I was still 9 years old, and I was like, oh my God, I've been waiting 15 years for this moment. My entire life has been building up to this moment right here. And I mean, I can't remember the exact words I said, but it was something along the lines of like, I want you to take me, tie me to the bedpost, and have your beastie way with me.
Beastie.
And he was like, I named the time and place. And I was like, right here, right now, my loins are trembling. Like, I don't even really know what that means, but he was high as fuck. So he was like, hell yeah, bitch. So I give him the address to my old apartment that I lived in like 2 years ago. And I gave him the gate code to get in because it was like a gated community. So, side note, I'm telling you this story so I can tell you this other story and then go back to this story. So, last episode, if you remember, we were talking about the guy that we used to call 38. The guy I was dating, or well, not even dating. I went on a date with him. He was 38, and I was really freaked out by the age difference, and so I just kind of ghosted him. So he actually lived in my old apartment at the time, and so I knew the actual gate code to get in.
Nice.
And so I sent Wesley that address and that gate code, so that he would be able to actually get into this apartment complex. And I sent him like a kissing emoji, and I told him I'd be wearing something special when he got there. So I grabbed my phone real quick and I text 38. I haven't talked to him in like 5 days. Like, this was just, like a week after this whole, like, the first date. And I was just like, dude, I'm like 24, he's 38. I can't can't do this. And so for like the past 5 days, I haven't been talking to him, but he's been texting me. And so I texted him and I was like, I'm really sorry. I've been avoiding you. And I was just having a hard time with the age difference, but you really seem like a sweet guy. And I feel like I should at least give it a shot, get over myself, and just like, see where it goes. And so I'm like, can I come over so we can talk? And of course he responds like immediately, and he's like, yeah, absolutely, the door's always open for you. And so at that point I just sat back and waited, because I was like, okay, in about 30 minutes my phone's going to be exploding with two really angry dudes that want my head on a silver platter, and I can't wait. So yeah, that was my experience with Five Star Show. And now that he's off the cocaine and he's not motorboating strippers in an alley every weekend, he's actually kind of funny. So you should check out his podcast, The 5 Star Show. He's on SoundCloud, Stitcher, the5starshow.com, and a bunch of other shit. So,
Yep.
Yeah.
That's it. And as you were waiting for the two guys to, blow up your phones freaking out, apparently he had butt dialed your now husband, and, one thing led to another, and they had a conversation, and he decided to do the right thing. So, honestly, your husband kind of saved Wes's ass from being anally raped in an apartment by a 38-year-old man. So he can thank us for that.
I guess he really probably should thank us. That's a good way to... I never thought of it like that. Yeah, you're right.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's what happened. So we're going to end like we did 3 or 4 episodes ago, like a year ago, with some dramatic journal readings from all the way back in 2002. We are at the end of January, the 26th at 8:38 p.m. I have...
AKA past your bedtime.
Oh, definitely past my bedtime. I was probably listening to Metalworks. Actually, it'll probably tell you exactly what I'm listening to because I'm lame. So, it starts with sup. Now, also, all of my punctuation marks do not have dots. They have stars. So, it's a question mark with a star at the bottom, not a dot, because I'm hip. Sup. Just listening to the numerical 2, Mama Kin. Very cool song, Axel, because apparently rock stars read my journal. Yeah. Who thought it up? Like he's going to answer. Doesn't matter. Cool song anyway. I'm about to put Footloose in. Speaking of movies, I'm going to kill Court. She said Axel played in the movie Only You. Of course I didn't believe her at first, but she swore she saw his name in the credits. So I spent my money, my hard-earned dishwashing money, to rent it.
Okay, Cinderella, your hard-earned dishwashing money?
Well, yeah, I got an allowance, and I used my allowance to rent this movie that you swore Axl Rose was in. Very good movie, but one problem. No Axel. That lying piece of, oh my god, I broke a nail, pop princess scum. Well, gonna get something to drink and pop in Footloose. Okay? Peace out and rock on, Michelle.
And I mean, if
so
you're
much
not
sass.
if you're not hip on middle school girl lingo, we talk shit about each other to each other's faces, behind each other's backs.
Oh, constantly.
But never, we were always friends. We were never we knew that the other one didn't mean it, but we would still be like, you stupid piece of shit, you whore.
Exactly, the Tennessee
whatever
Slut
you
Society.
called me, oh my god, I broke a nail, pop princess scum. That was pretty good, though. I have to give it to you. That was pretty good.
I'm good like that. So the very next day, 8:37 p.m., instead of writing out guess what, I have G/W. I'm assuming that's guess what. So, nice boys don't play rock and roll. Maybe that's why I like rock and roll. Maybe that's why I like bad boys. I don't know. Here's my list of turn-ons in 2002. How old was I in 2002?
Not old enough to have turn-ons. I can tell you that right now.
Exactly. So here are my turn-ons.
I don't even... you haven't even had your first kiss yet, so I don't
You're
know what
right.
you're talking about being turned on.
Exactly. Well, apparently this is what did it for me, all right? I got a list. Tight pants. Check. Good voice. Check. Good butt that goes in the tight pants. Golden blonde hair. 5'7" or 8. See, I'm
God.
Yeah, I'm not reaching for the stars here, guys. This is totally attainable.
we're not fully grown at this point. Like, just throw that out there. Like,
Yeah.
At this point, what were we, like 5'1", maybe?
It's something
So,
like that.
You know, 5'8" for us at that point was like a dreamboat.
Oh yeah, tall and sexy. Bad attitude, don't care what people think about him, can play piano or guitar, loves rock and roll and GNR as much as me. Well, I guess that's also bye-bye. All right.
God.
Yeah.
And now we know why you had to wait another 7 years after that to get your first kiss.
Exactly. Here we go. January 31st. This is the last one of the night. 3:13 p.m. I'm in the middle of the afternoon doing absolutely nothing, apparently. So, I've got Sup again. Listening to Club Lead. Now, nobody probably ever paid attention to this, but that was a segment on our local rock station 105.9 that they would play Led Zeppelin songs, like 5 or 6 in a row. They called it Club Lead, whatever. I don't know what song this is, but I like it. I'm fixin' to get Poison's Nothing But a Good Time video. AJ's been flirting like crazy with me today. Don't know what's up. Now, instead of spelling up, I did an arrow pointing up.
Because, again, we're hip.
Yeah, we're hip. I'm clueless. What's new? All I know is that I want a guy that I don't ever want to be without. I want to kiss him every second I'm with him and loves music as much as me. I think he's in LA. I hope so. I love LA. I love music and I love me. And now, as every girl does, I put arrows and like wrote guys' names, and then I like scratched out those names and put other names beside them and then scratched out those.
I have a notebook that genuinely has like 17 names in a row.
Nice.
Like they're all scratched out. I just like moved right along. I was like, yep, nope, not him. Not doing it for me anymore.
Nice. Well, I come back at 9:30 p.m. So what has caused me to return to feverishly write in my book? Well, Mom pissed me off again today. Right in the middle of recording Bon Jovi's One Last Wild Night concert, she told me to turn it off and go to bed. How dare?
Oh my God.
Hell no. I just and you know what? I didn't even spell the word hell. I put HE***. I edited. Yeah.
Well, this was, I mean, you thought, this was right around the time you thought your parents were reading your diary, so, I mean, you're trying to not get grounded for swearing.
I guess not. Well, hell no, I just shut off the TV. I hope it records right. I'll have commercials and whatever comes on after it, but at least I get my Bon Jovi. Well, if I can't watch it, I'm sure as hell gonna listen to it. So I'm gonna listen to my Bon Jovi CD since I can't watch it. I don't give a shit if it's 10 p.m. My radio, my CD, my headphones, my concert, it's my life.
Oh my gosh. I see what you did there.
Yes, angsty. So for people that don't know, that's a Bon Jovi song, so, because I'm clever. So those are our 3 angsty journal readings. For this episode, we are rounding our 1 hour limit. Next episode, what do we have in store? It is going to be titled Do the Hustle. We're not talking about dancing. We can do a whole thing on line dancing another time. But this hustle we're talking about, getting the green, showing some skin, hustle, making the monies. I don't know other words for that. CJ, you want to pick up where I left off? What is this hustle about?
I mean, you pretty much covered it. Just basically all of the ways that we have made money that aren't our regular jobs.
No, very untraditional.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm gonna tease.
well, you've basically been like my little.
I was your
like,
bodyguard.
Like my side bitch or my bodyguard.
Yeah, I was
in
definitely
all
your
of my-
side bitch. That's it.
In all of my escapades of like, whether it's being a doula or donating my eggs or modeling or just anything else, really.
Okay, so I'm going to tease a couple of words, and these will all be involved in next week's episodes. So get excited. The words are Twizzlers, broken rib, chocolate pudding bathtub. There we go.
Yeah.
That's those. All of those will be covered next show. I don't want to say next week because it'll probably be 2 weeks, but next episode, Do the Hustle. We will see you then.
This concludes our broadcast day. Good night, and God bless America.